the next morning to find the summer day yet again, to his great surprise and some worriment. Could he be caught here forever? Might he, fearful thought, have died in his illness and somehow passed into the summer day forever instead of to another place? No, not at all. The very next morning found him weak but not feverish. His mother told him that the crisis had passed while he slept in the night. As the years passed, the day became more and more precious to him. The boy became a man, and then an older man. The day shone through his years like a golden beam of summer sunlight. When he was tired, the day was restful and refreshing. When he felt pain, he could always take one day and slip into his youthful body once more. When responsibilities seemed to overwhelm him, there was always a refuge. When he needed it most, he would sometimes have 2 days in a row once more, but he always returned to the next day in his life. People who knew him thought that he must be very wise. He carried a kind of serenity with him that few people could match. Nobody ever knew his secret, the gift that he carried with him through a long and happy life. He never married, though. Perhaps he didn't feel such a deep need. Perhaps he didn't know how he would explain his gift to anyone else. Perhaps he didn't want to share it or didn't think that he could. In any event, it was a good life, and he was content with it. He began to carry the coin in his pocket most of the time. There came a day in spring, one of those cool mornings of infinite clarity. The old man went for a walk. The first tiny leaves were budding from the trees, and the meadow was filled with tiny bluets, those four-petaled pale blue flowers that some call innocence. There was a light breeze, and the sunlight simply sparkled. As he strolled through the meadow at the edge of the trees, he noticed a girl kneeling in the grass, picking bluets and making them into tiny bouquets. He sat on a stump and chatted with her for a while in the cool sunlight, amid the pale greens and pale blues of that exquisite day. When the little girl said, "This is the best day there ever was," the old man knew what to do. He reached into his pocket, smiling to himself.
Okay. Are you going to ask the question, or are you going to... You want to
you can launch into it if you like, because we've already started talking about it.
Okay. Well, the thing is, for the viewer, they might want to have an intro of what the topic is.
Okay. Well, just started recording this. I started talking prior to recording about NASA sending out a probe to look at the additional planets beyond Neptune. This guy is more familiar with the names than I am.
The name is Larry Friesen. I used to work in the space business here at NASA. Presently teach part-time at the University of Houston, Clear Lake. In a sense, NASA has already sent out a probe called New Frontiers. Its mission is to observe Pluto and other objects in the Kuiper Belt as opportunity presents. Pluto, by the way, is a member of the Kuiper Belt. It's the second largest we know of, and it was the first discovered by Clyde Tombaugh back in 1930. The largest object now known in the Kuiper Belt is called Eris. It's very slightly larger than Pluto by a tiny bit. Then there are a number of others. One's called Sedna, one's called Quaoar. There are some others whose names I do not know. I don't anticipate missions in the near future to go specifically to look at those objects. They would take as much energy of it from a space probe as we're now using on Horizons, which is New Horizons is the fastest spacecraft we've ever sent out. And I don't know if there's enough motivation to put that sort of a mission into the budget.
Okay, next question. What do you think is the first place we're going to colonize? The moon, Mars, or an asteroid in the belt?
Most likely the moon. It's closest it's easiest to reach in terms of time. Some near-Earth asteroids are easier in terms of the amount of propulsion you have to have, the amount of propellant you have to carry on your space vehicle. But they're longer in terms of distance and time, so you need more life support. And we might send a mission to one of those early on, but colonizing is a longer-term endeavor. So I'm guessing we would colonize the moon first. That would make the most sense because it's the easiest to get to in terms of energy and time when you combine the energy and time together. And it's a way we can get emergency supplies to a lunar base in a couple or 3 days, or you can get a person back, can rescue a crew from a lunar base within 2 or 3 days, or 4. To get to or from Mars is several months. Just to get there, several months back, and then you have to wait till the orbits are right, so it's a round trip time of a year or better, or maybe 3 years. Asteroids, near-Earth asteroids, some of them would be easier to get to than Mars, but most of them, getting to them and back will be also a matter of months. Any main belt asteroids, they're further out than Mars, so they'll take even longer to get to than Mars.
What got you interested in spaceflight?
Well, that was a result of I was interested somewhat in spaceflight very early on because I was interested in science fiction, I was interested in science, but specifically in spaceflight was the gift of 2 books when I was 8 years old. One was for my birthday, and one was either for that same birthday or for the following Christmas. One was a big golden book on aviation, which had, in its last section, that book had everything about the origin of flight, the Montgolfiers balloons, the Wright brothers aircraft, Lindbergh's flight across the Atlantic, and so on, everything up to the mid-1950s when I had that